I'm really happy with it. It just plays so amazing.
It plays itself.
It plays itself. It plays itself. So, well, here's our Sunday lesson today. I have been going through this book by Paul Selig that Taylor introduced him to me a few years ago, and I listened to everything on audio. I love audiobooks. But Paul Selig, he basically is writing about like the truth of who we are. And it's kind of like a simple version of the Course in Miracles for anybody who's like the Course in Miracles. But he just talks about how our soul, it's an individuation of source energy, that we are a soul and we're using this body, we're using this personality to experience ourselves and knowing ourselves through the life that we lead, through the choices that we make and the actions that we take. We know ourselves as the divine being that we are if we act in faith. If we're not knowing ourselves as the divine being that we are, then we might be acting in fear, but we still learn something from that, right? We still learn how to change our mind. So last week I talked about I know who I am, and I'll go over that just a little bit today, or you can watch the video when I get it uploaded on YouTube. But I know who I am, and so today is about being able to say, I know what I am. I know who I am, and I know what I am. Now, knowing the truth of who we are, it changes what we do next, right? If we are walking in faith and we know the truth of who we are, that we are an extension of source energy, and we are here to express the light the best we can in these bodies while we're walking around on this planet, it changes what we do next, right? And what we do next includes greater good for everybody. But if we don't know who we are, then we choose out of fear, we choose out of limitation. So, that's why we talk about the unity principles all the time. And you will see, I put our unity principles, we said them already, but here's another little printout of our unity principles. This is the boots on the ground work. This isn't just, oh, I'm going to read that. That was nice. I'm going to put somebody's phone number on the back so I remember to call them later. This is the work. This is how we do the work. And here in Unity, we talk about this all the time. I don't always say, well, this is one of our Unity principles. But you know, I talk all the time about how God is all things. And if God is all things, that means we're also an emanation of the God source. God can't be all things and it doesn't include us. Like, where would we go? There's nowhere to go. God is all things. So we talk about the unity principles a lot. So the unity principles, God is all things. That's basically divine law. It's a law. It's a universal law. It has to be. God is all things. And it experiences itself because it creates through its creations. So you see this happen in the natural world. A field of, is that what you call it? Not a field, a grove of oak trees grows oak trees. Right? Or the acorn, it feeds the squirrels, and the squirrels grow more squirrels. Okay, so it knows itself. Source energy knows itself through its creations. This is divine law. Divine activity is how source energy happens to know itself through us. Because life with a capital L is expressing itself through all of life. And it does that through us too, biologically. But humanity has a non-biological creative component. Because we can create through our way of thinking and choosing and acting. An oak tree doesn't do that. A squirrel doesn't do that. Okay, so this is divine activity, right, through us. So we get to choose how we think and act in this world. So divine activity is actually what we are, how we call forth the divine into our lives. So in unity we talk a lot about this saying, the Christ consciousness. We talk about the Christ consciousness. But the Christ consciousness is Christ comes from the word Christos, and it's related to the word logos, it's related to the word, which means creation with intention and activity, or intention and purpose. But what is different about being in the Christ nature, because it's not somebody's name, it's not that famous teacher who lived 2,000 years ago, it's not his name, it's what he embodied. The Christ expressed as teacher Yeshua. right? So Christ is kind of how we express. It means the light in the body of a person, right? Because we get to choose, we get to look at how we think and how we choose and how we act in this world. And so it's activity, it's the divine activity in us expressing itself through our choices and the beauty and the good that we call forth into our lives. Okay, this Christ consciousness, this higher nature, this light expressing as us, is pure potential. It's pure potential, and it is the true inner self of every single person, no matter if they're aware of it or not. Okay, no matter if they're behaving that way or not, it's still the true inner self of every single person. So when we say, I know who I am, it's the divine light expressing as me. This is the truth of our nature. I know who I am. The divine light expressing as me. I'm divine light expressing as me. I'm Christ expressing as me. I'm the universe expressing as me. I'm life with a capital L expressing as me. Source energy, spirit, love, whatever you like to call that, I'm that as me. Question?
Yes. When you say Christ consciousness expressing as me, are you talking about the human form, the Jenny, or the spirit within the Jenny?
I'm talking about Jenny.
Okay.
The Christ consciousness is the spirit within Jenny.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It's already there. We just don't always express it. Thank you for asking that. That's good. So that's what we're saying when we say, I know who I am. I am the divine manifest in this current body and experience and personality. Okay? So how do we know what we are? What? I know what I am. What this means is, well, what are we all doing here? Like we're the light made manifest in this body through our way of thinking and choosing and acting. Well, what we are is actually what we're doing here. We're demonstrating that. We're the doer of that. Okay, if I'm the light made manifest, I am. The light is me, right? I am, like the light as me is me, Christ as Deanna. Then what do I do with that? It's how I'm thinking and how I'm choosing and how I'm acting. I'm demonstrating light in the world. I'm demonstrating the activity of God in the world. So that's what we are. Who we are the light made manifest. What we are, we're the demonstrator of that light. Okay, oh, and look, I could have done this too. I know who I am. I am the light expressed as me. I know what I am. I am the doer of that. I'm the doer of that. Light creating more light through how I do what I do. How do I do what I do? So right now, there's a lot of things happening here on this planet. I just got to do this because I can't see you. There, how's that? Now, there's the two of you. I like to see everybody, and I don't want to have to ask anyone to move. But right now, at this point in time, like this very minute, we are being called to demonstrate the light in our lives. Because right now, on this planet, this is literally the most exciting time to be on this planet, is right now. Like, we're looking around, and if we're in fear or worry, we might be like, oh, this is like a scary time to be here. Man, I'd rather come back in the 1950s, like when life was simple, right? But no, right now, here and now is the most exciting time to be here, and we are being called to demonstrate the highest, brightest version of ourselves that we can manage at this point in time. We are standing on the precipice of great change. We're standing on the leading edge of thought. And we are, right now, what we are creating is the infinite possibility that paves the way for the life that we will be living, right? Filled with possibility and potential. How we stand in our truth, I know who I am, and how we do what we do, I know what I am, is what determines like how much light we're contributing to this world, how much of the activity of God are we calling forth, right? How much of the good are we calling forth? So how do we stand in our truth right now? Like with all this is going on, how do we remember, oh, I am the Christ consciousness expressing as me. Like, how do we do that when we're like, God, and then gas is $6.89. I mean, like, how do we do that? How do we stand in our truth when there's a lot of stuff out there that's messing with our head? So we are expressing the best of ourselves through how we do what we do, how we act in wisdom, how we demonstrate love, and how we witness the truth of the divine. That's how we stand in our truth. How we act in wisdom, how we demonstrate love, how we witness the truth of the divine. So wisdom, and I have an affirmation for you. I have a lot of affirmations today, I just couldn't help it. Say this affirmation today, or together. I am guided by divine wisdom in every thought, word, and action. All right, so wisdom. Wisdom is not about data, it's not about facts, it's not about information. Wisdom is an expression of the divine through us, for us, as us. So if we say, I am light expressed as me, I am Christ expressed as me, we could also say, I am wisdom expressed as me. Like we could say, I am love expressed as me, I am grace expressed as me. Okay, we also will say that about wisdom. Wisdom is a divine expression, and every single person has access to wisdom. We don't have to live through all these crazy circumstances and grow to a ripe old age to finally get some wisdom, right? My little kids used to just pop off these little truth bombs to me, and they were so little, and I would just be like, who are you, right? Right? Wisdom, we all have access to wisdom when we stand in our truth, when we know the truth of who we are, and we're just being that. And little kids tend to just know that about themselves. Before too many outside influences talk them out of it, right? But little kids just kind of know that about themselves. So wisdom, any age, right? We just have to be grounded in the truth of who we are. And wisdom is grounded in potential and possibility and peace and wholeness. Wisdom is grounded in all of that, positive aspects of our Creator, because it all comes from our knowing ourselves in the divine expression of ourselves. So really, to act in wisdom, we don't even have to be the smartest person in the room, because wisdom is not about being the smartest person in the room. Wisdom doesn't have judgment. There's no judgment in wisdom, right? There's no belittling someone for their belief system when we are coming from wisdom, right? We're not attacking somebody. When we're coming from wisdom, we're being wisdom in our life. We don't even attack somebody else for having a different belief than we do. Because wisdom's not about changing how other people think, right? Wisdom is about us. If we're acting in wisdom, there's no, well, I'm right and you're wrong, and that's just how it is. And if you would just change your mind and get on board with the program here, right? That's not wisdom. That's actually fear. That's fear. Wisdom is about being the most loving version of ourselves in any given moment. Wisdom would be asking this question. It's a very wise question. How can I show up as the most loving version of myself right now? How can I show up as the most loving version of myself right now? I had to ask myself this because, I was working on this, right? And somebody that I know, just an acquaintance, and I don't know why I get caught up in that person's stuff, but they just were going on and on and on about something. Well, and I'm like, well, I'm so spiritual, I do the unity principles. I need to set this person straight. That's what, that was my first reaction. And I was like, no. What's the most loving way I can show up right now for myself and for other people? And it was like, stop looking at what they're posting on social media, Deanna. They don't care what you think. Especially because you don't agree with them. So they don't want to know about it, right? So how is the most loving way we can show up? That is a question that comes from wisdom. When we are acting in wisdom, we're seeking the divine in all things. We're seeking to see only the divine in all things. And to help other people in their discovering the divine in all things, if they want it. We serve as an example. But in wisdom, we don't try to set someone straight. In wisdom, we're holding the truth of who they are for them. So as the activity of God, as the activity of the Christ as Deanna, Christ as Linda, right? The divine light as Donna, right? We are just showing up in wisdom, calling forth the next best version of ourselves that we can. And this is how we participate with life. We're participating. We're not participating. We're a bystander when we think we have to control what other people are doing, right? Because if we think we have to control other people, then that means if they don't do what we want them to do, what we think they should do, that makes us unhappy. And then we feel like we don't have power, like we want to have power over these people, make them do what we want them to do. But we will just be a bystander in our own life when we do that. Okay, so wisdom allows us to participate with life, because we're participating really with each other, right? This is all about interacting with each other. Because I don't know, like about you, but I don't get to go sit on a mountaintop somewhere. I can just never deal with people ever again. I know that's your dream, and you don't even get to do that, right? You don't even get to do that, right? Okay, so we're participating with life, and this is important to us as a soul, that we're participating with each other, because we're growing and we're learning from each other. Now the same comes when we demonstrate love, as a demonstrator of love. And here's our next affirmation. Let's say it together. Love expresses through me, for me, as me. All right, and I say, this is kind of my mantra about any God aspect I want to embody. Right? Love expresses through me, for me, as me. My good expresses through me, for me, as me. Like whatever it is you want to see in your life and experience in your life, let it express through you, for you, as you. Okay, so as an expression of love. This is always a good topic, love. But as an expression of love, what we're doing is we are offering ourselves to the world, not just to our favorite people. We don't grow in love by loving the people who are already easy to love. Right? We grow in our consciousness. We express a deeper, more profound, unconditional love when we can actually direct it at somebody we don't want to love, that we'd rather judge them. As an expression of love, this puts us in spiritual integrity. This is actually a term, spiritual integrity. And it means that we don't just say this stuff on Sundays, we work it all week long too, right? We create our experiences through our way of thinking and acting. Okay, how was I just thinking just now? Well, I don't know how I was thinking. I won't say I was limited thinking, but I was sure judgy at somebody. Like I sure just really wanted to pour something in their Cheerios. I don't even remember what that is. Beer? No. It's like, I don't even remember the term. It just said that you put it in the Cheerios. Okay? See, so as an expression of love, when we're demonstrating love, we're in spiritual integrity with what our soul is guiding us to be creating on this planet right now. And then we grow in our spiritual self-esteem. Spiritual self-esteem is also a thing. Like when we are high in spiritual self-esteem, like if you're confident, like I'm fairly confident on guitar, so I just play guitar. All right? But when we're not confident in something, like we have to keep practicing it, right? Spiritual self-esteem, we practice walking in faith. Faith is something we practice. Faith is something we get better at. And as we grow our spiritual self-esteem, because we're demonstrating love, we're better at acting in faith. So, as an expression of love, we're not judging. We don't judge. We don't need to be self-righteous. We're not holding ourselves above another person. Well, because I do this better than them. Did you see what that guy was complaining. I can't even believe how that guy complains. I hate being around that guy who complains all the time. Because I'm so spiritual. Right? We don't hold ourselves above anybody. And the thing is if we cannot see the divine worth in another person, then we're not seeing it in ourselves either. We may think we are, because we're carrying this around, right? Or we're wearing our little crystal. I was like, I'm so spiritual. But if we are looking at somebody we don't like and we believe they don't deserve to be loved, then we're not in our own worth either. So here's a big question. I always get this question when I talk about love. You may have thought of this question already. It's like, well, how am I supposed to express love? How am I supposed to demonstrate love? Right? How do I demonstrate love when I've been betrayed? How do I demonstrate love to that person who did the terrible thing to me? How do I demonstrate love to that person who hurt my kid? Right? How do I demonstrate love? How do I demonstrate love when life isn't going my way? Because I feel like I'm being persecuted by the government or the institution or the powers that be. How do I demonstrate love? How do I do that? If we are blaming, if we're blaming, if we, and we all of us have had at least one experience in our past where there is a person or a condition. We can point our finger at them and we can blame them for something terrible that has happened. And you know what? Nobody that we know would ever blame us for blaming them because that person did something really terrible. But when we continue to blame that person, we lose our sense of worth for ourselves. When we continue to blame that person or that condition, we slam the door to all possibilities shut. That big, and I'm going to say big red door, like the most big, magnificent door, and behind it is every possibility. Behind it is all the light you could ever need. Behind it is all the good you could ever desire. There's no lock on this door. Let's say it doesn't even have a doorknob. Let's say it's a swinging door, and it keeps trying to open inward, and you're pushing against it. This is what we are doing. We're pushing against this door, struggling, using our own vital life force energy to keep this door shut with all of our might. Like we believe there's a dinosaur on the other side of this door, like because we just watched that scary dinosaur movie, so we're pushing against the door. This is what happens to us when we cannot forgive someone, when we cannot forgive them. We become a bystander in our own lives. Bystander. We're not participating, we're a bystander, which means we're basically waiting for life, for some crumbs from the table of life to drop where we can reach them. That's all we are capable of getting when we are a bystander. We're waiting around for the crumbs of life to fall off the table of life. Right? That's what happens. To stand in the truth of who we are, let that big red door swing wide open. We got to demonstrate we got to demonstrate love. And we've got to keep telling ourselves, I know who I am. I am light expressed as me. I am the Christ expressed as me. Right? I am the divine expressed as me. When we can do this, the reason we demonstrate love is because we see the worth in everybody else. Oh, I see the Christ expressed as Susan. I see the Christ expressed as Denise. We can do that to everybody. We see that light expressed in everyone, and we can say, I know who you are, because I know who I am. Okay, so we've got to see the truth in everyone. The next thing we've got to do this, we've got to forgive. And that's like the hardest thing to think about is forgiving sometimes. And really sometimes maybe somebody doesn't deserve forgiving. But the forgiving it's not about condoning what they did. Forgiving means we can give up all hope for a better past. Forgiving someone or something means we can stop trying to time travel into the past to change the thing so it never ever happened in the first place. We can stop trying to time travel. That's what forgiving is. I'm done time traveling. I'm going to let it go. Right? The person, if they did something illegal, they should go to jail. Or maybe they need to pay a fine, whatever. They're not getting away with anything. This is about us being able to open the big red door. Okay, that's about us. And also, when we can forgive, it stops controlling us. And all of a sudden, we have more vital life force energy for other activities in our life, activities that call forth greater good. So we demonstrate love by seeing the divine in all things, and we are participating with life when we do that. We are participating because we're paying attention to what our thoughts are, what our feelings are. And we are consciously choosing to call forth the Christ consciousness, the divine consciousness at work in us. We're consciously calling it forth into our lives. So we act in wisdom, we demonstrate love, and then we are witness. We witness the truth of the divine. That is what we are here to do. Witness the truth of the divine. It is our charge to hold that loving vibration of wisdom and love. That's what we're here to do right now, is hold that vibration. And that just means seeing God in all things. That means just saying this, God is all things, and that means me. Right? That's how we are a witness. If we think we have to tell another person how to eat, vote, pray, or parent, we're not witnessing the divine in them. If they ask, hey, how's that carnivore diet working out for you? You can tell them. Or if they say, I've got this thing going on all the time, you can say, well, you know what I did that helped that? Didn't you learn this with your kids? Like, I learned this with my kids. If I ever said to my kids, you should, they're like, forget, Mom. I'd get this, right? But if my kids were sharing something with me and I said, oh, wow, one time, I know this is kind of different, but, there's this one time, what happened to me, and what they do is their ears, right? Then they want to hear. They're open to hearing. This is how we are a witness. This is how we are a witness. We do not have dominion over other people. We don't get to boss them around and tell them how to live their lives. Like even our babies. No, even babies we're not even bossing around, really. We're guiding them, right? We're the shepherd of our children, or the guide. We're serving as a guide to our children. We're not actually bossing them around, but we don't have dominion over other people. In fact, we're only our brother's keeper to the extent that we witness the divine in them. And if they ask for help, we give them help. They ask for a sandwich, we give them a sandwich. If they need directions, we teach them how to use their GPS. Okay? All right, so every person is already acting from their own level of consciousness. And it's either fear or it's faith, but it's their journey. We're not here to judge them. If I like this as a metaphor, you've got a building and there's 20 stories in the building. Okay, and you talk to somebody on the phone, they're on the first floor, and you say, what's the view out your window? And they say, well, I see the parking lot. You wouldn't judge them for that. And if you talk to the person who's on the 20th floor, say, well, so what's the view from where you're at? Oh, everything. I see everything. I see the vast horizons of everything. Right? One person, their experience currently right now is on the first floor. And somebody else's experience is on the 20th floor. And we just witness that anybody can go to the 20th floor. We witness that for them. That's how we get to participate in the journey of other people, is we just journey ourselves, knowing the truth of who we are, knowing the truth of what we are. We participate with life. And we are doing this through each other. We are learning and growing and expanding our consciousness together through interacting with each other. Because how do you get to the top floor of that building? Right? Like, I think, like, metaphysically, I see it as like, well, I felt judgment towards somebody and I caught that. And I decided I want to demonstrate love. And I got to the second floor. And then there's somebody else I wanted to boss them around. I wanted to have dominion over them. And I remember, no, I want to witness the divine in them. I got to the third floor. That's how we get up each floor. This is why it takes work. All those stairs. Right? Literally. We are on the metaphorical stair climbing machine or something. I don't know. Okay. So what we're doing now through this process is we are consciously choosing to create our lives by honoring the divine in ourselves, but also honoring the divine in each other. No matter somebody else's behavior, we honor the divine within them anyway. So our call to action this week. Here's our last affirmation of the day. I witness a world before me in transformation. Say that together. I witness a world before me in transformation. There is a lot happening right now. This is a great awakening. Like I'm telling you, like this evolution of human consciousness is happening. I think I mentioned I read this book, this Sacred Quest, and it's about the first epoch of human consciousness, and then the second epoch of human consciousness. We're moving into the third epoch of human consciousness, which is a wholeness. It is wholeness is what we're moving into. There's going to be a lot happening for us in the next 10 years. And just imagine how all that unfolds for us when we stand in the knowing of who we are, when we stand in the knowing of what we are. We're not a fragile, delicate flower on this planet right now. Like, we're a channel for divine energy. Like, we're the conduit for creation working through us, for us, as us. And as you know who you really are, that's how you perceive others. When we know who we are and we know what we are, this is how we expand our territory. This is how we expand our area of influence, and this is how we call forth greater good into our lives and the lives of other people. John O'Donohue, he's an author who wrote this book. His most famous book was Anamkara, but he said this from his book Eternal Echoes. As soon as you rest in the house of your own heart, doors and windows begin to open outward to the world. But we have to rest in our heart to do this. We have to rest in our heart to claim the truth of who we are. When we rest in the heart, in the truth of who we really are, we walk through the door. We walk through the door, and this behind the door is everything. It's all the light, all the possibilities, all the good, all the potential, all the beauty. You know, and Rumi said, and I'm not sure exactly how he said this, but why do you try to make a door open up when the whole wall is an illusion? There's really no door. There's not even a door. We just think there is. Because we've separated ourselves. We think, oh, there's something right here, and everything on the other side of right here, that's everything I want, but here I am here, and I can't get there. That's what we think. It is our charge to change our thoughts and to be empowered and to be an example right now in this life of what's possible, to practice these principles. It's our charge to practice these principles. That's what we're here for. And you don't have to do this exact thing. There's like so many spiritual principles that are pretty much just this, but people say them in different ways. And so find the one that resonates with you. The 4 agreements, like that pretty much, if you do the 4 agreements, you're good. You're good to go, right? But this is the boots on the ground work. It's time for us to be doing this work. So we're here to dismantle that illusion, right? That there's a wall, that there's a door. We're here to dismantle that, right? By being able to say, I know who I am. I am light expressing as me. And I know what I am. I'm a demonstrator of all this as being true. I'm a demonstrator that this works. That's what I am, a demonstrator that this all works. All right? So, when we see everyone within the light, when we become willing to see everyone as an aspect of the divine themselves, seeking its truth through them, that's how we dismantle the illusion. When we can recognize our divinity and we recognize the divinity in everybody else, no matter their behavior, that is how we are creating heaven on earth. And so it is. But wait. Remember this. I know, I accidentally forgot that. You are designed to do all this stuff. And everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is. So it is. Yes. Thank you. Okay, we have our meditation person is also on vacation today. So we do have a pre-meditation song. And I haven't decided if I want to tell you this or not. I think I will tell you this. I actually wrote this song. I wrote this song about unity before I knew we had to sell. Right? Before I knew we were going to sell the building, right? The property. Before I knew all that. Okay? But anyway, it's also about the door. It's about the door. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Don, would you turn out the lights? And if you want, you can just kind of soak it in. Close your eyes. I need a drink first, though. It's very dry. Somebody tell me that, right? Is it really dry? Because otherwise I'm like, what's going on? Okay, thank you. Thank you, that makes me feel good. Sometimes it does make us feel better to have somebody else confirm us, right? Which is why we like people to agree with us. His song is called The House of Love and Light. I waited at the door, thought I'd found my key. I waited at the door, wondering what could be. Would I see my way through the dark of a future unknown? Would I know the truth that this light is guiding me home? So I walked through the door, hoping to see what's true. Yes, I walked through the door, to question all I knew. Am I strong enough to trust in a future unknown? Am I wise enough to know that love is guiding me home? Guiding me home. And it's my heart that opens the door, and with each beat I learn a little bit more than before. Than before. The wound is the place where the light enters in. The wound is the place where our story begins. It begins. I whispered in these halls to these walls. I was home again. With the beating of my heart, we were one again. The heart lights the way through the dark of a future unknown. The heart holds you tight when you're hanging on and letting go. Letting go. And it's my heart that opens the door, and with each beat I learn a little bit more than before. Than before. The house of love and light is always found within. The house of love and light is where it all begins. It begins. Just walk through the door, through the door. All right, well, we're all ready for meditation now. So I'm just going to ask you to put your hand over your heart, right? This door, the door to everything, the big red door, the big crystal door, however you want to see it. Take a nice deep breath. I invite you to close your eyes and visualize right here in the center of your chest a radiant golden ball of light. And imagine that a ray of this golden light shines down to the center of the planet, where it meets the emerald green light of Mother Earth, the very first energy that greeted you on the day you were born. And your golden ray of light mixes with the emerald light of Mother Earth. And they shine back up through the planet, up through your feet, up your spine, into your heart. And then see your entire heart center just expanding until it completely surrounds you. And gets even bigger than this room. Gets bigger than this building. And gets bigger than this planet. And you find yourself in space, floating above this beautiful blue marble that we call home. And in that brilliant imagination of yours, affirm, I know who I am. I am light expressed as me. I know what I am. I am the activity of the light in the world. And I act in wisdom as wisdom. I ask, how can I show up in the most loving way right now? What's the best way to be a loving soul in the middle of all of this that's going on in this world? How can I call forth greater good? What would it take? What would it take to carry as much light as possible? And anything in the way of all that, I ask the light expressing as me to transform all of that into the brightest, most loving light across all time, space, and dimensions. And I demonstrate love. I am a love generator. I am love in this world. Love expresses through me, for me, as me. And I offer myself as love to the world. I am that love. I am. And I witness the divine in every person that I meet. I witness the divine in them, their potential to be a love generator. I know that is the truth of who they are. Sometimes I get to remind them, and sometimes they get to remind me. And I accept all of it with joy and gratitude. I am all that I am. I am all that I am. I know who I am. I know what I am. I am love expressed as me, and I am the demonstration of love in my life. I am a love demonstrator. I am all that I am. I am. And now just take a nice deep breath. Knowing all of those affirmations, anything that you loved is downloaded into your consciousness. You can return to it anytime that you want to. And you find yourself coming back down into your body. When you're ready, wiggle your toes, put a smile on your face and open your eyes.